Before we talk about the depths of grammar, we need to talk about the fact that we know sentences have some sort of structure. So we can ask about components of sentences. So for instance, if we have the sentence, I'm wandering off into the woods somewhere tonight near New Hampshire, we're able to question part of that sentence and say, you're wandering off where again? And what this implies is that this group of words right here, from into until Hampshire, is a unit that functions together. So, in terms of the structure of a sentence, this is like its own little phrase that's going to break down into smaller components of smaller phrases. So, we'll talk a little bit more about how we can identify that later with more in-depth types of phrases. We'll do a bit today, but what I want to do is just show you the basics. So we know the most basic thing that we need is a subject and predicate. We need who or what the sentence is about, and then we need what the subject did, or what the state of the subject is, or what the description of the subject is. So we need a subject and a predicate. So basically, if we want a sentence, we can always break it up into two different components, subject and predicate at the bare minimum. So if we want to see how words group together, we can try a replacement test. Because if a group of words can be replaced by one single word, that must mean that they function together as a unit somehow. So if we say my pool noodle is around the corner, we can say my pool noodle is there. And this implies that this group of words functions together as a unit. Or you want a big brown puppy for Christmas. You want what for Christmas? So a big brown puppy is being replaced. So this is some sort of grammatical unit in the sentence. This has its own little phrase. So let's just try some. Elon Musk wants to live on Mars. Do you think wants to live on Mars is its own unit of words that function together? Well, we can do a replacement test. Let's replace it with a verb, like sleeps. Elon Musk sleeps. Fantastic, this works. So we can do a replacement test. This is a group of words that function as a unit. What about Superman said that he wouldn't buy milk on Saturdays? Well, I can replace it with a noun like he. He that he wouldn't buy milk on Saturdays. Well, that sounds bad. What about a verb? Sleeps that he wouldn't buy milk on Saturdays. That doesn't work. No matter what replacement we try, we're not going to get something that sounds good here. So it's going to be ungrammatical. These do not function together as a unit. What about this bird that was standing in the corner cheeped directly at me? Okay, well, we can always say this bird there cheeped directly at me. And we can do this replacement. So yes, these words are going to function together as a unit. So more broadly, when we think about sentence structure, there's a lot of different components. So any group of things that function together as a unit is called a constituent. So in a sentence, this is your top tier, and the sentence is made up of clauses. Clauses need subjects and predicates that we saw before, and we see this split here. Two different things, two different structures. This is the sentence, panthers are cute. So panthers is a noun. This is being displayed. Are is a be verb. This is being displayed. Cute is an adjective, builds into an adjective phrase. This is being displayed. And we can see this structure, and we'll delve into it more in the future. But this is just what I want to show you to start. We'll talk about subjects and predicates next, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of all of these different types of phrases and word categories. So a subject of a sentence or clause is who or what the sentence or clause is about. And we say that being a subject is the function of a phrase. So you can have a noun phrase that is a subject, a gerund phrase that is a subject, an infinitival phrase that is a subject. If we don't know what those words mean, don't worry. That's what these courses are for. So to see if you have a subject, you're going to identify what you think is the subject and replace it with a pronoun like he, she, it, they, we, us, or whatever. So if I think of this sentence, some old person eating a potato is right here. I think, what's the subject? I might ask myself, well, I think it's some old person eating a potato. That's the subject. That's who or what I'm talking about. So if I replace it with the word it or he, I get he is right here or it is right here. And that's good. That's a good replacement. So we found a subject. But what if we think, well, I don't know, maybe it's just some old person. This seems like an object, and eating feels like a verb, so maybe this is just the subject and the rest is the predicate. So if we do a replacement, it eating a potato is right here. He eating a potato is right here. It sounds weird. Like you need to put a comma or a pause in speech. It eating a potato is right here. You can't just say it naturally. So because of that, this is questionable, and we say we probably don't have the subject here. If you want something that's really bad, let's pretend that this right here is the subject, some person eating. It, and we do a replacement. So it, a potato, is right here. Ugh, that's really bad. So we've identified the subject here by doing the replacement. It is some person eating a potato. So let's try some practice. You can pause the video and try these yourselves. Try to identify the subjects in the sentence using an identification task, and I will go through the answers right now. So a pair of Texas deputies responded to an unusual loose animal report ending up rounding up a pair of small goats. So the subject here would be a pair of Texas deputies. We can replace this with the word they. They responded to an unusual loose animal report. The deputies ended up wrangling 2 pint-sized goats. We can do the deputies here. We can replace it with the word they. They ended up wrangling 2 pint-sized goats. The goats were reunited with their owners. Again, with the goats here, we can use the word they. They were reunited with their owners. And finally, this last one is a little bit more challenging. The curiosity to know about something is what drives gaining of knowledge. And this is your subject, the curiosity to know about something. We can say it. It is what drives gaining of knowledge, or the gaining of knowledge. Maybe this sounds better if we put the word the here. This is an old quote. So here we have our subjects. If you want to see something bad, so maybe you think it's just curiosity, the curiosity. It to know about something is what drives the gaining of knowledge. Ugh, that doesn't sound very good, does it? It to know about something. We need to replace this whole phrase with it, and now we have our subjects. So once you've identified a subject, predicate is actually really straightforward because it's really just everything that is after the subject. So it's the action or the state of the subject. So we can do a did so replacement test. When you think you have a predicate, you can replace the entire predicate with did so. So if I say some old person is right here, I could say some old person did so. I could think right here, sorry, is right here is the predicate, and I can say some old person did so. And this is good. We've retained the meaning with context. What if we say something like some old person is right here, and we think person is right here is the predicate? Well, then we get some old did so. And you're thinking like some old what? It just sounds incomplete. That's not good. Or if we think this predicate is just right here, some old person is did so. Ugh. Some old person is did so. Doesn't that sound just so horrible? So yeah, that sounds bad, so it's not a predicate. So here's the same sentence as the last time. See if you can identify the predicates. All right, let's take a look at the answers here. The predicates are just, oops, ended up wrangling 2 pint-sized goats, were reunited with their owners, is what drives gaining of knowledge. There's a little bit of an accident there in the last slide, but if we replace anything with did so we can do did so with all of these, what we will see is that the sentence is still grammatical. So a pair of Texas deputies did so. The deputies did so. The goats did so. The curiosity to know about something did so. The last one a little weird, but abstractly we can make sense of it. So that's subject and predicate identification. You've now gotten through the first set of lectures. I encourage you to use the worksheet to make sure you understand subjects, predicates, descriptive, and prescriptive statements.